Yet, how does it feel to be the starting quarterback of the Crimson Tide?
Yeah, it's a dream come true. You know, I came here out of high school wanting to be the starting quarterback, and I'm just excited, and I can't, thank my teammates enough for making me look good, and I'm ready for the opportunity.
How happy are you that you sat back for 3 years, sat as a backup? How happy are you now that you made the decision to stay with Alabama?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's abnormal for sure to, not transfer in today's day and age. But, I don't regret it at all. I love being here. I love my teammates. I love this university. I learned a lot from the guys that played before me, like Bryce and Jalen. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them, and then the guys behind me, like Keelan and Austin. I think that they pushed me and elevated my game to a game that it's never seen before. So we're going to continue to grow it each and every day as a quarterback room as a group, and I'm excited about it.
Tell us about the moment finding out and what that was like.
Yeah, so we had a quarterback meeting, and it was just us three, and then Grub, Coach Sheridan, and Coach DeBoer were in there, and they were just like, guys, hey, we're gonna name Tyler starter today, and we went from there, and they were really appreciative of me, and congratulated me. Austin and Keelan did, and they just told me to go get it, and like I said, I can't thank those guys enough because I wouldn't be here if they didn't push me every single day.
Was it unusual for?
It was surreal for sure. Something I've dreamed about, since I came here. But I'm not going to sit here and say it was nothing I didn't expect. I feel like I worked my tail off for it, and I'm just excited for the opportunity to go out there with my guys and compete each and every day.
How's the relationship been like with you and Coach Grub? How do you feel like you've been flourishing underneath him?
Yeah, that's my guy, man. He came in here, and I knew him a little bit when he first got here back last year, but the whole Seahawks thing happened. But when he came back, man, he's been so great. I've learned so much ball from him and Coach Sheridan, and they've just been in unison when it comes to everything, to the detail, the routes, to the run mesh or whatever. And, I learned a lot of ball from those guys, and so I feel like that helps me as a quarterback, being a coach's son, and just trying to make sure that I put the team in the best position to win.
How much has it helped you or held you back that you've been dealing with a different offensive coordinator every single year since you've been here?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it held me back at all. I think about the guys when I first got here. I had Bill O'Brien, I had Alex Mortensen, who's a quarterback coach and offensive coordinator at UAB, and then Derek Dooley. Learned a ton of ball from those guys and Bryce, and then Tommy Reese, John McNulty. And then Coach Dooley was there my second year. I learned a different type of offense and learned just different types of schemes or whatever. And then, my third year, I have Coach DeBoer and Coach Sheridan and then Coach Grub this year. And, I don't feel like it's something bad at all. I've learned a lot of stuff from those guys and a lot of different stuff that I've taught, the other guys of like, hey, this is how we did it in the past, maybe that'll help you, read it a certain type of way or whatever. So, I wouldn't say by any means it's hurt me. I think it's helped me by a lot.
Who did you call?
How is this quarterback battle different than the ones that you've gone through?
It's different just because, one, I'm older, but it just is a different type of group. Those guys have helped me a lot, and they were just great guys or whatever. Being older definitely helps, and they push me every single day, so I can't thank them enough.
Were you more confident because of you having gone through a similar experience?
Yeah, no, I definitely feel like I have, just because I know what to expect, and I know, hey, the mistakes I did last time, I'm going to make sure I'm not going to do that again. And just being older and confident and understanding, like, hey, I'm just going to be the best I can every single day. And my teammates, man, they gave me a lot of confidence just in and out every day, just making plays for me and blocking. I can't thank those guys enough.
Ty, I imagine your phone's been blowing up a little bit in the past day or so. Who are some folks that you heard from, former teammates, different people that really stood out to you?
Yeah, Greg McElroy texted me, which is really cool. I really look up to him a lot. A bunch of my family, a bunch of my friends, a bunch of guys who transferred out have reached out. It means a lot because I'm a big, relationship person. I'm a people person. So, guys who left, I really try to connect with them in a lot of different ways. I may not understand why they left, but I just want them to know that they can always count on me and understand that I'll be there for them, anything they need. And I think I take that into my game too, that, understand that, like, hey, I'm going to be the best teammate I can be, and make sure that I'm going to do everything I can to help our team win.
Who was your first call or text when you found out?
Definitely my family, my dad, and I think my mom and dad started crying or whatever. So it was surreal. So I called my dad later that night, and then I took a nap. So.
Did you call Book, or did he call you?
Yeah, so Book, I texted Book, and he called me, and he was like, I better be at the draft like you were with me. So, it'll be a fun year for sure. I'm excited to watch him play for the Cowboys.
Ty, take me through Alabama's players. What
Yeah.
have you seen this spring or this fall from room guys like Isaiah Horton and Ryan Woodman?
Yeah, man, we got a bunch of studs, man. I'm really excited about that group. You know, we got a transfer from Isaiah, who from Miami, who I knew, you know, in Nashville. You know, Jerem's coming off a big year, who I think he's going to have a better year. Even the same with Ryan. You know, he's older now, bigger and stronger. Then you got guys like Derek Meadows, Latsir Brooks, Rico Scott, who are stepping up in big ways. And then you got Cole Adams, and you know Bach is transferring from defense to offense. Man, those guys are doing a great job, and you know they're really detailed in their routes. And Shep has done a great job just making sure that you know even on pass plays that they're or run plays that they're blocking and being selfless, man. So I'm really excited about that group, and it's my job to get those good players the ball.
What do you want to your process over the next couple of weeks now that you've been named starter?
Yeah, really nothing's going to change. I'm going to make sure I go through my process of just being the best I can be. I got to make sure that my teammates can count on me and make sure they have confidence in me. And I'm going to make sure that I can give us the best chance to win. And whether that's handing the ball off 50 times or throwing it 50 times, I got to understand my job and make sure that I give us the best chance to win on Saturdays.
Other than being just simply older, how do you feel you're a different quarterback than the last time you went through a competition like this?
Yeah, I've talked to Coach Saban a lot. He always would tell me, don't worry about the outside noise, don't worry about external factors, don't worry about anybody else, just be the best you can be. And I really didn't understand that when I was a young guy. I would always be worried about somebody else or somebody at a different type of school or whatever, or be looking somewhere else and be like, man, I could have played there or whatever. But he always kept saying, just focus on yourself, focus on the best you can be. And then when Coach DeBoer came, he talked about going 1-0 and winners win because that's what winners do. And I had to sit back and pray about it and just think to myself like, man, like I got to do something. I can't keep going down this road of just worrying and having anxiety or whatever. So I sat back in my room one night and I was like, man, I'm gonna pray. I'm gonna give everything I got to the Lord and just make sure I understand that, like, hey, that I'm just gonna be the best player, the best Ty Simpson I can be. And I think these last couple of years, that's what I've really tried to do. Just make sure, like, hey, don't do anything fancy, man. Like, even though it's the University of Alabama, just play football and just be the best version of yourself you can be. So,
what stood out to you in those prayers, or what kind of revelations did you have in those moments?
I remember my sophomore year when it happened. Really. It was after a spring scrimmage. I came in. I didn't really do a lot. I came in. I just started crying. I was just like, man, like, what is going on, man? Like, what? I just don't feel like it's not fun to me anymore. And my dad asked me, he's like, man, like, how's your faith doing? What are you doing to make sure that you give everything and trust in the Lord? And I had to sit back and I was like, man, like, you're right. Like, I'm more worried about how people perceive me in football than they do, how I walk in my faith and how I am as a person, man. So, football means a lot to me. Don't get me wrong. I make sure that I'm going to do everything because he's given me this platform and he's given me this opportunity. But no matter how many touchdowns I throw, no matter how many wins I have at the University of Alabama, I'm a Christian first. And I know that, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for it.
You mentioned Coach Saban. Have you heard from him yet?
No, but I can't wait to see him, though. I'm going to tell him thank you. And, he means a lot to me. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for his guidance and everything he's done for me.
What are some areas that through film study and meetings that you think you can still grow and develop?
Yeah, I feel like I can still grow and develop every day. Just understanding the offense better, understanding defensive coordinators, and just understanding, hey, this is why we do it. So I'm gonna continue to grow with that. And Coach Grub, meet with Coach Sheridan or whatever, and just make sure that I understand why and make sure that we give the best chance to win on Saturdays.
We're going to spend a lot of time analyzing your game and looking at all these clips. How would you describe yourself as a quarterback?
Yeah, man. I feel like I'm a dual threat guy. I can sit in the pocket or I can escape and make plays. But I also I think a underrated part of my game is that I'm going to do what it takes to win. So, I'm going to do the gritty stuff. I'm going to make sure, I'm going to make sure we get the first down when it's 4th and 3. You know what I mean? So, like I said, man, those guys make me look good in that locker room. With our wide receiver group, our running back group, our O-line, man. I'm so excited about these guys, man. They make me look good, so I got to make sure that I give them everything I got. So that's what, I tell them every day, that when I go in the huddle, like, man, I'm going to go hard for you today. Like, I'm going to we talk about being unbreakable all the time, and the only way I'm unbreakable is if we're all unbreakable together as the offensive team.
Last one.
Ty, there's been a lot of talk about, beginning offense, those 5-yard, 10-yard plays that Coach DeBoer says, should be completed 100% of the time. What's kind of how has that been explained to you, especially with, the wide receiver room that you have? Like, how have they approached what they expect out of a quarterback position?
Yeah, I think it just make the easy one easy. You know, we got, like you said earlier, man, we got a deep, wide receiver room, and then we got a deep running back room, and then we have the best offensive line in the country, man. So why would I make things harder than what they are? You know what I mean? You know, so when the defense, makes me check the ball down, give the ball space to Jam Miller, get the ball in space to Ryan, get the ball in space to those guys. Like, just go let them work, man. It's not a hard game. You try to make it harder than what it is. Just take what they give you, get the first down, and go from there. But man, those guys do a really good job, and I'm excited for them, and I can't, wait to see how they do.
Thank you.